Welcome back, everyone. We have an update from Steppe Gold Limited, which trades on the OTCQX under the symbol STPGF and on the TSX under the symbol STGO, and is Mongolia's premier precious metals company. Happy to welcome Executive VP and Director Aneel Singh. But let's first start with the video.
Hello, I'm Dennis Quaid. Today's investors are more concerned than ever about saving and planning for the future. As we're about to see, there are smart ways to make the money you earn today help prepare you for tomorrow.
Gold mining has brought great success and resources to countries all over the world for centuries, and continues to be an extremely rich and viable economic investment.
Gold mining's been around for thousands of years. It's the original money. It's tried, it's tested, it's true, and it's undeniable. In periods of uncertainty, people flock to gold as a store of value. In communities in which it's mined, it brings a lot of economic prosperity, allows people to upgrade their skill sets, brings GDP growth to areas that might not have that same opportunity otherwise.
Mining is the biggest employer in country, so it's created a significant amount of jobs in country, tax source for the government as well, and more importantly, I think education as well. It's created a lot of skilled labor force that's impacting generations to come. So it's certainly very meaningful and a big driver of the economy.
While it is relatively unknown to most people, Mongolia is a resource-rich country at a turning point in its history. Within the last few years, it has become the last frontier for large-scale gold mining projects, quickly improving economy and job opportunities.
Democratic Mongolia is only 30 years old. In the past 3 decades, our economy has quadrupled. Our current government, the Prime Minister and the President has been very supportive of foreign investments and developing of responsible mining industry. Our mining industry makes 1/4 of our economy, over 70% of foreign direct investment, and over 90% of our exports. Mongolia has full resources of coal, copper, gold, and iron ore, and many other minerals. 70% of our territories remain undiscovered to geological surveys, and mining license has been issued to only 1% of the territories.
Mining in years gone by had developed a reputation for exploiting local resources and not giving enough back to its host governments. We're no longer in that world. You can't be a proper listed mining company with all the disclosure and the obligations and not be a great partner, not take care of your host governments, your workforce, and give back to the communities. If you want to generate a return through gold mining and mining in general, you need a great mineral endowment and an environment which is supportive of unlocking that mineral wealth. And that's what we see in Mongolia. We're only seeing the start of the mineral potential in the country, and I think the government sees that potential, the host communities, and together we can unlock a lot of value for investors as well as for the country.
Gold is a historically safe investment for economic growth, and the industry boom in Mongolia is the proof.
We're glad you could join us today. I'm Dennis Quaid. See you next time.
Excellent. Well, thank you everyone for taking the time to either hear the updates for Steppe Gold or hear the story for the first time. So hopefully that video as an introduction was a way for you to get a little piece of what we're doing here. And so Steppe Gold is a gold and silver producer today. We've been in production since April 2020. And in fact, we just hit a milestone just over a week ago where we've actually produced over 100,000 ounces from the starter oxide mine, or our phase 1 operation that's still in operation today, and will continue to produce about 25 to 30,000 ounces at about 800 to 850 all-in cost for the next 2 years, while constructing our phase 2 operation, which will bring our production profile to over 100,000 ounces per annum at about $900 all-in cost for another 12 years of mine life, and still growing. And what's important to note with that phase 2 expansion is that we actually announced $150 million US debt package in July of this year which allows us to fully fund that expansion without having to raise equity at these massively dilutive levels. So that's a big win for investors, new investors and current, of course, to not have to massively dilute our company to bring our major expansion, which will really be the cash flow machine of the company, online over the next 2 years. We just announced, since my last presentation here, an update. So within the last 2 weeks, our first draw on the 150 million US. So we drew down just about 10 million US of that 150, of the first tranche of 50 million US. And that allows us to put long lead item deposits down for our construction in the new year on the major equipment, final payments going towards our final design and engineering work. So phase 2 is a reality. As you may have seen from the video, and you can see in our slides deck as well, we've already started phase 2. We've already constructed our phase 2 crusher and brought that into country over the last 18 months and installed it. So that's the first major installation for our phase 2 project that's coming online by the end of 2025, with production ongoing. So those are the main updates, I guess, since my last update about a month ago, where we've actually drawn our first draws. Really shows the market the reality of our funding package is real, it's there and accessible. And we'll start drawing down additional debt in the new year, starting towards the end of Q1, with major construction to start in the spring of the new year and for the remainder of the year. And again, the goal of bringing that production online at the second half of 2025. Currently today, we have just about 104 million shares outstanding in the company today as a producer that has 5 million ounces on the balance sheet, between 2.5 million ounces in Mongolia and about 2.5 million ounces in Peru. So that's a sizable company as a producer that's trading probably roughly around $10 to $12 an ounce in the ground as a producer, where I think peers trade anywhere between $60 to $70, if not higher, where you've seen takeouts of new producing assets trade just recently this week at $135 an ounce to $150 an ounce. So certainly a lot of room to grow on our stock. You have an alignment from management board and our team that we own close to 25% of the company today, just over 22%. That's a strong alignment from any management team you'll see out there. We feel the pain in the markets like today, and has been for the last couple of years, but we're certainly in it to ride the much larger gain in the future. And I think we've shown that by mitigating or minimizing dilution along the way. We have other large investors like Eric Sprott, who owns close to 11% of our company today. Fidelity Investments owns close to 6% of our company today, and multiple family offices, including Elliott Management out of New York, with the backing of Triple Flag here in Toronto, and then family offices in both New York, Europe, and Asia. So very strong backers, long-term investors, and for new investors, you have the opportunity to acquire our stock, I guess, on market at a lot cheaper prices than most of our money was raised, or most of these investors have come in. So again, a great opportunity with research coverage from Hannam & Partners and Stifel GMP. A quick reminder of where we came from as a private company in 2017, acquiring our first 2 assets. We started this company with a $20 million US acquisition of the ATO mining license, a greenfield asset that we built. And at that time, it was 1.2 million ounces of resources and only 210,000 ounces of reserves. Today, it's just under 2.5 million ounces of resources, inclusive of 1.7 million ounces of gold equivalent reserves, and still growing. So, this is an update presentation, so I won't spend too much time on further updates, but I wanted to, really focus in on the fact that we are a producer and have been producing since April 2020, profitably generating cash flow, growing our asset base, and now we've de-risked our expansion with this funding package put in place that's very equity friendly. So you have a company that's executed, continues to build, and with this gold price, we have a $1,000 margin in our current operation, and very similar in our phase 2 expansion, which is much bigger from a mine life and production profile. So a lot of room to grow without having to raise equity. One of, I think, the companies that have a lot of torque to leverage to the gold price as it may move up in the future. and with a very creative acquisition in Peru, adding to our pipeline of development opportunity with another oxide and sulfide deposit that's about 2.5 million ounces today and can grow. And once this phase 2 is up and running in Mongolia, we can take our cash flow and self-fund the equity component of future builds, both in Mongolia and with this Peruvian acquisition. So I thank you for your time for hearing the Steppe Gold update. With that, Anna, if there's any questions, I'm happy to hand it over. Thank you.
Great job, Aneel. We do have a few questions. Let's see how much we can get through with our time. Reed Jordan asks, do you see yourself geographically expanding? And if so, to where?
Yeah, with this Peruvian acquisition, we just expanded geographically. We've added a tier 1 jurisdiction in America's jurisdiction of Peru. To be honest, we think the future M&A will be within Mongolia. There's still a lot of opportunity for acquisitions in Mongolia where we have infrastructure. We've demonstrated execution. We are Mongolian, 99% of our workforce, our chairman and CEO, and half our board. So we have an edge there, and there's a ton of opportunity. It's a resource-rich country. So that's where our focus will be in the near term.
And last question due to time, Juan Meza asks, what other metals are you exploring?
So we have gold and silver as our primary focus in the company. We are a precious metals company, but with our phase 2 operation in Mongolia, we've now encountered lead and zinc in our phase 2 in our sulfides. So that'll be about 30% of our production in phase 2. And we expect that we're going to continue to find more lead and zinc as we continue to drill underneath the deposits, underneath 350 to 400 meters.
All right, perfect. Aneel, we'll send the rest of these questions to you so you can answer on your own time, but please join us again for another update.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, everyone, stay with us. We'll be right back.